Just imagine getting a $35,000 line of credit to grow your business with just a 600 personal FICO score and a soft credit pull. That's a reality for the average business that gets funded by Rock Financial. I spoke to Tony Semino, the Vice President of Business Development at Rock Financial, and he said,
So it really is a situation where you can get access to a lot of money very quickly.
now, that's definitely encouraging when you couple that with some recent data from other businesses that were funded. One business was a wholesale distributor. They were able to get $220,000 in just 3 days so they could purchase more inventory. And a construction business got $1.75 million in funding within 2 days to purchase equipment and use as a bridge to get between jobs. So, what is Rock Financial and how do they help business owners like these get funded?
Rock Financial, we help small business owners get access to funding. And that sounds simple, but I can assure you that is not a simple task. Banks decline 9 out of 10 borrowers. We actually approve about 9 out of 10 borrowers. So for us, it's more about really understanding a business and what is their opportunity and pairing that opportunity with the right type of funding, because that's actually what matters most.
There's a lot of moving parts to getting your business funded, but it really boils down to two major parts. What does your business qualify for, and what are your business goals moving forward? Rock Financial helps you connect those two moving pieces together. And I gotta say, for a long time, I thought if you own a business, any type of business, all you needed to do was go down to your local bank and sit down with a loan officer and get a loan that works for your business. But that was never really true, especially today.
But not every borrower fits the mold of the bank. Similar to credit cards, similar to auto loans, similar to mortgages, there is an alternative side to commercial financing. The biggest difference there is that we have a wide range of products under small business, and that's what's unique about funding. Is you could be talking about a term loan or a line of credit, or equipment financing or AR or factoring. There really is a wide range of products available. And there's a lot of different lenders and banks out there that offer these different products. And that's what makes it such a unique landscape for business owners today, is really how do we position the business so that they have the best chance of not only getting approved, but approved and funded in a process that works smoothly.
When I think about positioning of a business, I can't help but think about interviewing for a job. You could be the best candidate with great work experience, but if you can't describe that experience on a resume and interview in front of a 3-person panel without getting the shakes, then all that experience is just going to waste. So Rock Financial has to look at your business and decide how to present it to lenders in a way that makes your business look its best. One thing I've learned about business funding is that banks move extraordinarily slow when it comes to underwriting and loan approval. And I know a lot of small businesses really want to get funded quickly.
At the end of the day, time is of the essence, right? Business owners move very quickly. A lot of times it's, hey, if I can buy this inventory in bulk today, I can start to flip it and be able to make money on it. Or I can, buy a partner out, or I can, utilize this funding to, purchase equipment. All these things are going to start to make money in the business very quickly. They want to be able to take advantage of those things. So we move very quickly in the alternative space because there's a lot of technology, and the process is very streamlined.
With traditional banks, the process can be slow and archaic to say the least. You're going to have to send in documents one by one as needed via email, most likely, sort of like the home buying process. It's going to take weeks, if not months. So that's definitely a positive of going with an alternative solution like Rock. So let's talk about what lending products Rock offers and what's the most popular.
So at Rock, we offer a lot of different products, from term loans to lines of credit. Those are probably the most popular. What those are, and just to kind of start there, they are kind of bank style products, right? In that you can go get a business term loan or a business line of credit at your bank. What makes it different is the requirements. Banks typically like to see assets tied to a deal, you potentially owning those assets free and clear before applying with those assets. The business has to own those assets free and clear, right? So if you don't own the business, the building that your business is operating out of, banks are usually out of the option right there. If you don't have like a 720 or 700 plus credit score, you can't you can't get a loan from a bank. If you have too little time in business, you can't get a loan from a bank, right? Our products are much different. Banks typically want to see 2 or 3 years time in business. Our term loan and line of credit started 6 months time in business. Their banks like to see a 720, 700, 740 plus credit score. Our line of credit and term loan starts at a 600 credit score. Now, we have other products on our platform that have no minimum FICO score. So there really is a wide range of funding available. It's more about what is the business utilizing the money for, and how do we get them the best product that they're going to qualify for that can go toward what they're using the money for.
The good thing about alternative solutions like Rock is, unlike banks, they offer a ton of different solutions for any business and situation all in one spot. So you don't have to waste time applying and getting denied from a slew of different banks before you finally land on one that takes you seriously. They can just match your business with a lender right from the jump. But before you take on a loan, you want to be sure it's the right product for you, and that's where you need someone to educate you.
Right? So you may say, hey, I want a term loan, but you actually need a line of credit. Or you may say, I want a line of credit, but you actually need a term loan. So it's really, again, us understanding the need of the business and how the money is going to be utilized. And that's how we'll design the product that's most specific towards the business. But like, just for a quick example, if your business is somebody, in the construction industry, or you are in an industry where you get paid every few weeks, right? And you're just kind of between payments, that's where a line of credit can really be utilized, because a line of credit is designed to use it and pay it back, use it and pay it back, kind of like a credit card, right? And the reason that I point that out is because a lot of times what people will think is, well, if I just borrow this line of credit, I can borrow against it and hold it for as long as I need. I got this whole term to pay it back. Well, that's not how it's designed. And that's actually how it's going to cost you the most money, right? If you pay it back quicker on a line of credit, you only pay interest on how long you use it, right? So if you're only going to use it 3 weeks, 6 weeks, 90 days, that's a great product for you. If you start talking about, well, I'm going to hold it for the entire 6 month term or 12-month term or 18-month term or 24-month term, that's where you start to run into trouble, is because now your cost is probably going to outweigh the cost on something like a term loan, or a more fixed small business loan, where you're actually borrowing a lump sum, right? So let's say you were looking at, a $100,000 loan. You'd want to make sure that, hey, I have the ability to pay this back and afford the payments. Well, that's where the term loan may actually be more appealing, because the cost would actually be cheaper if you planned on holding it out the entire term. So again, it's all about really understanding what the business is using the money for.
So that kind of blew my mind right there. Your business could qualify for a cheaper loan product, but because you made a poor decision on which one to use, you could end up paying significantly more overall. So I know Rock works with different lenders, but how do they actually find a funding deal for your business?
Really, I hate to use the term, but kind of shopping your deal. And that's where we come in as a broker. And what makes Rock a unique broker to work with is we're a wholesale lender. We work with all of the top, we're a wholesale broker, excuse me, and we work with all of the top lenders in the industry. And by working with them so closely, we provide a lot of feedback. And feedback, it could be as simple as, hey, your biggest competitor over here has approved this on a longer term. Do you want to compete, right? Or, hey, they have a cheaper cost with another option. Do you want to compete? No, we want to stay where we are because we have more money. Or, no, we do want to compete because we really like this deal. We understand the use of funds. And we appreciate you guys, letting us know, right? So realistically, when you work with Rock, you're actually going to get a blended offer of what is best available to you on the marketplace. And that may be from, 3 to 4 different lenders options, by saying, hey, this person had the best cost. This person had the best, payment structure. They had the best, rate. So let's blend all of those things and see, what's the best deal that we can come up with here?
Think of yourself and your business as a star attraction. They got to show you off in your best light to get a lot of interest from lenders in funding you. I like that they potentially could negotiate a better deal for you by creating a competitive scenario with multiple lenders who are interested in funding you. All of these lending products will have different terms, so it could be hard to understand how much you'd actually be paying for the money. But I think Rock has a pretty good solution to keep you informed before you approve the offer.
When you actually receive approvals from us, you get a loan calculator that you can go in and you can play with all of your approvals and say, okay, well, if I took 50,000, it's going to cost me this much money. But if I extended the term, it's going to lower the overall payment. If I go out and I shorten the term, the cost goes down, but now my payment goes up, right? So you can then say, okay, I want the $75,000 option. Oh, that's a little bit more expensive because more money. And now you can really play with the numbers as the business owner and make a decision of how much money actually does make sense.
You really can't make a decision on whether taking the money is a good investment or not if you don't determine the total cost of the loan. So it's good that they give a way to play with the numbers until you're comfortable. I gotta say, there's quite a few business funding brokers out there, so I wanted to find out what Tony thought makes Rock different from the rest.
For us, I would say realistically, it's not necessarily the technology that separates us, but it's more the knowledge of the industry and how we've now positioned ourselves in the industry. In that, we've been in this industry for a long time, 15 plus years. We built a very successful brokerage.
So to me, what stands out is the 15 years in business. There's so many fly-by-night companies out there. It's good to do business with one that has staying power and a proven long-term track record. Next, Tony echoed something I've been saying for a while now about credit card issuers and how they will change their guidelines on you. And it surprises a lot of people when they find out they're working off of old data points.
Not every business is the same, and they don't qualify for the same things. In fact, lenders a lot of times are testing different things. They got different initiatives going on.
Hey, banks are out here making constant adjustments. They change eligibility requirements, they change maximum credit limits based on the economy, based on the quality of recent customers. It's an ever evolving situation. But this is where Tony gave me a whole lesson about the opportunity cost of not funding your business when it makes sense and thinking like a rational business owner and not like an employee.
If you are a savvy business owner, you are somebody that understands that opportunities come and go. And challenges are going to rise and they're going to push you, and you're going to have to solve those things. So if you have challenges that you could be solving utilizing funding, or there's opportunities where you could be utilizing funding, by not accessing the money and not taking funding, there's a cost. And that's the time value of money, is you've made the decision to not take the money. And what does that actually cost? And what's the compounding effect there? Right? By not taking the money, is that the point where you didn't hire that key employee you didn't have that machine for them to run, and now you didn't grow your business, you didn't buy out your partner. And again, that's where you have to understand that when you start to make a decision of, I'm going to be one of these people who is simply going to save all of my change in the change jar, and then one day I'll go cash it in. Most people don't get rich that way. Most people get rich with other people's money, and they utilize the money that they're able to make from that to then invest back in, and now they put their own money in. But it was never theirs to begin with, right? They got access to it the first time because they were able to utilize somebody else's money to do so, because cost is actually an irrelevant term, and it's all about what are you doing with the funding, and does the cost actually outweigh the cost of the capital? Right? Because if you aren't moving forward with an opportunity, what are you losing out on? And could it be more than what the money would actually cost to begin with? What's unique about money, and this is the last point I'll make, is that high cost money is still a cheap commodity. Most people don't want to agree on this. High cost money is still a cheap commodity. We may go viral on this term right here. High cost money is still a cheap commodity. What I mean by that is, you go buy a Starbucks coffee, they just marked you up like 7,000%, right? We start talking about interest rates are expensive at 5-6%, right? Well, is that actually expensive, right? Because when a business goes and borrows money, it's a little different than a person. And if that business can turn around and make money with it, their margins are usually more than 5%. So when a business owner looks at their margins and what they can actually make with the money that they're borrowing, a lot of times they come to realize, like, listen, if I can make 200% or 80% or 65% with this money, I don't necessarily care what it costs as long as it's not more than what I'm going to make from it. Because once I've made that money from it, right? Let's say it's $100,000, right? Once I've made that $100,000, now I have the $100,000, right? And anything that I've made on top of that is now mine, and I can use that in my business.
Really, it's up to you to do the math and figure out what your profit margins are before taking out financing. If your business would end up tripling the money you borrowed, I would say that's a great investment. But the big question is, how much funding can your business get and what is it based on?
Yeah, so we typically lend anywhere from 10 to about that $2 million range. But you do have to keep in mind approvals are typically coming in anywhere from about 100 to 150% of the monthly deposits of the business. So, if the business is depositing, say, 20K into the business bank account consistently each month, they're not going to be approved for anywhere close to a million or $1.5 million. It's going to be more towards that 30 to 35 $1,000 range maximum.
We lend as little as 5,000 and up to $5 million. So as long as you make $5,000 per month, and you have a business checking account, you could potentially get access to funds.
When he said $5,000, I was so relieved because from my experience with businesses, the number one reason they don't get funded is due to low revenue. Typically, lenders want to see at least $10,000 per month in revenue, so this allows a lot more businesses to get their foot in the door here. So my next question was, how fast can businesses actually get funded?
Right. So we're going to take that business owner story and we are going to package it up with a bow on top, and we are going to send it to lenders exactly how they like to receive that information. So what I mean by that is some of our lenders, we have API connections with, some of them we utilize their portals, but it really allows us, like our team has been trained on how do we get this to the lenders exactly how they like to see it so that they can ingest the information quickly and get us decisions quickly. I mean, we get approvals in as quickly as 2 hours sometimes. So we'll fund a business as much as $500,000 the same day that they apply. So it really is a situation where you can get access to a lot of money very quickly.
I know there's no such thing as fast money, but in the world of finance, you can get some quick money. You just got to pay it back on time. I know business owners are super concerned about reporting good payment history and business credit building. So we got to find out, how do these funding products help you build business credit?
Some products on our platform do report to business credit, some don't. But if you are somebody who does get one of those products that don't, you are still borrowing money from a lender who's going to keep track of your payment history. And if you pay on time, they will extend you more money and they will want to give you better terms because they never give the house away on the first, on the first go around. I can certainly tell you that, right? Every lender wants to build a relationship and they want to really understand that you're a responsible borrower. And if you can pay them back, they'll extend you more money. They'll give you better terms. They're going to want to, keep the borrower and they're going to want to be competitive, right? But it's more important that you really understand that, hey, we do have the ability to help you build your business credit, because even if you don't qualify for one of those products today, well, maybe it's the second or third time you borrow through Rock where we've now positioned you with a product that does report to your business credit. Because a lot of times they do have a credit score minimum of like 600 or 660 or 680 to qualify for some of those programs. And not everybody has that today, right? So if you still have a need for funding, I would hate for you to not take it because it didn't report to business credit today, right? Perhaps 6 months from now, we're refinancing with a product that does do that, right? So it's important that we really, understand the whole picture.
Most likely, if your business made it to the point where you qualify for most of these funding options, then your business likely already has decent business credit. And like he said, once your business starts building relationships with key lenders, then a business credit score will be less of a factor. Another big concern is, how will applying for business credit affect your personal credit score?
99.9% of our lenders will approve you with simply a soft pull on your credit. Right. So it's not going to affect your credit score. They may look at TransUnion. They may look at Equifax. I can tell you most of them use Experian. The reason that I know that is because we actually do a soft pull of your Experian. And that's how we determine who's the best option for you. We do an in-house underwrite where we kind of pop the hood on the business and say, okay, well, just from what we see, you can rule out X, Y, and Z, right? Let's send this one to A, B, and C. That type of thing. So as far as that goes, if a borrower is applying and they will incur a hard pull on their credit, that's usually only at the time of funding. They're always aware of it. It's usually on like a premier product, like an SBA loan, or maybe like some form of equipment finance where there is some type of, titled vehicle, or some type of, guarantee where you do have to kind of sign off on things. And they may do a hard pull on your credit at that point. But you would always know about it.
It's good that they'll explicitly let you know if and when a hard credit pull will occur. That's way better than how credit cards inform you about hard credit pulls in the fine print at the bottom of a web page. I gotta say, a lot of businesses get tripped up and denied because they're in an unfavorable industry that lenders just don't trust. Industries like trucking and construction have a hard time getting funding.
Right now, one of the best industries out is the medical, healthcare type of industry, right? We're coming off pandemic. They've had quite a couple years. No, at the end of the day, most people like to lend money to doctors. It's always been the case. You start to talk about some newer industries, some emerging industries. E-commerce is usually pretty restricted. The cannabis industry is usually pretty restricted. But I can tell you, we rock and roll in all of those industries. We fund deals in the cannabis industry. We do very well in e-commerce. In fact, a lot of times where banks may decline a client for industry, we can get a deal done simply because we do have a higher risk tolerance, right? So, that's where working with a broker can help you, really, understand what your options are, even if you think there might not be any. Industry is a unique one. We actually have no industry restrictions here. So manufacturing is big, right? If you are selling products to, other businesses, wholesale, auto repair is good. Restaurants are great. Which is, again, restaurants are usually a restricted industry for banks, especially ones that are less than 5 years. For us, restaurants, bodegas, grocery stores, you name it, we lend to it. Coffee shops, barber shops, beauty salons, nail salons. We love them all.
So obviously, Rock doesn't care too much about how you make your money, just as long as it's legal, of course. They just need to see that $5,000 in monthly revenue. But let's say your business already has funding, but you need a bridge loan or additional funding. Can you still qualify?
Most lenders have what's called a seasoning rule. What it means is if you just took funding yesterday, they want to see you make a few payments before they're going to give you access to more money. And that's not always necessarily the case, which is why I said yes and then threw that out there. It is because that's not always the case, right? If you didn't get enough money on the upfront, maybe there's a different product out there for you. Maybe there's a way that we can help. There is certainly a point where a business can have too much debt, though, and we're not able to do anything at that very moment, where they're going to have to actually pay down some balance, some balances, a balance in order for us to actually be able to lend them money. But if you do have a loan and you're wondering, hey, what are my options? I would say absolutely. We're able to either consolidate or, potentially work alongside some existing type of lending that you may have in place where, we could technically subordinate to any type of traditional funding you might have, right? A lot of times people have a line of credit or some type of bank loan in place, or, some type of other funding. That's fine with us.
Just hit the link below to start your application with Rock Financial and get your business funded today. And I'll let Tony explain exactly how that process works.
Once you've completed the application, it will prompt you to connect your banks like we were talking about earlier. And basically that's the whole application process right there. So you've now applied. Once that's happened, it's typically anywhere like 12 to 24 hours for an initial approval. We can move quickly, more quickly than that if you are somebody that needs money, more quickly than that. But that's typically 12 to 24 hours for initial approval. If everything goes all well and everything's all hunky dory and that's exactly what you wanted, we could typically get the deal funded within 1 to 3 business days. It really depends on exactly the time frame we're closing, usually for the borrower. So I always say we move at the pace of the borrower, because some loans may take 2 weeks, but that didn't mean that we weren't done in 48 hours with everything. It's just that, hey, I was waiting for this discount or this payment or whatever.
Listen, maybe your business doesn't generate enough revenue to qualify with Rock, or you're more interested in debt free financing. Did you know there's a way to tap into your 401k money to fund your business without taxes and penalties? I discussed that plus more in this playlist right here, so check that out and have a good one.